I guess I should have known from the beginning. It was gonna be one of those days.
Hey, that one kind of worked.
Yay!
Okay, that to me, I gotta say, that is like listening to the beginning of the John Williams Star Wars score in a movie theater. Like when I hear that, to me, it's like the same thing. Like I get the same excitement. Like I'm about to be utterly entertained for about an hour and a half because I know that my movie is starting. Right.
Nice.
So this is Validate Me. Welcome back. This is episode 11 of Validate Me, I think.
So many episodes.
Yeah, I'm surprised we already made it to 11. This is pretty crazy. So
You didn't give up.
No, we haven't. Not yet. We'll see.
Haven't pulled an Owen.
People are bearing with us. Do you want to try and explain a little bit what Validate Me is to people who are listening for the first time?
All right, BAMs. Okay, so Validate Me is a podcast where me and my dad show each other media that we enjoy in hopes that the other will also like this media and validate us.
Yeah, that's about it.
Nice.
So we take turns. So Presley has me do something, I have her do something. This was my week, and so I had her watch my favorite movie of all time,
Woo!
3 O'Clock High.
Which I want to call 5 o'clock high.
So
I'm going to continue to
good.
do so throughout the entire podcast.
One of the things I was going to say, so I'll just go ahead and launch into it now. It's High Noon, right? More or less. Which is an old Gary Cooper Western.
High Noon.
And it's a classic. Mommy went to film school, and I'm almost certain Mommy watched High Noon in film school. So it's a classic of film, right? And so, Gary Cooper, like, it's the same thing. He's got a gunfight that's coming, but the town kind of deserts him, like, one person at a time. All of these people he thought he could depend upon, like, leave him, and he's left standing alone in the end. And so there's a scene in 3 O'Clock High.
You just spoiled that movie for me.
Well, that's not the end of the movie by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
That's just what happens
You just
during
said at
parts
the
of
end.
the movie. No.
I was like,
And so there's like a lone gunfighter. He stands, tension etched on his face. Like there's that thing in 3 O'Clock High, even, right? But it's clearly referenced. It's a Western that's set in a high school in the 80s. In Ogden, Utah, oddly enough. Well, that's where the school really is. The school's actually Ogden High School, which I've been to. I've made the pilgrimage out to Ogden High to go tour the school, like we went to the Greece High School.
We did go to the Greece High School.
That happened to be right down the road, and it took me a lot longer to go to Utah to see this school.
Did you eat the good chocolate cake they have in Utah?
No, this was well before I knew anything about the good chocolate cake in Utah.
We have good chocolate cake in Utah.
So this has been my favorite movie for a really long time, and
nice.
For largely sentimental reasons. It's kind of cool. Like my buddy was here in town this week for the Oscars, right? And he and I used to watch it in high school all the time. So I never slept. I stayed up all night. He would come over to my house at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just randomly, and we would watch 3 O'Clock High. We would watch Twin Peaks and 3 O'Clock High. That was kind of what we did all the time. And so I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've seen this movie.
More than Scott Pilgrim.
And I love it because it's really, really well made. In addition to being like really cheesy. Like I love like the high school movies in general. Like I kind of dig those. And like there was a whole series for a long time where they were retelling Hamlet in like high school, like 10 Things I Hate About You kind of things. And like there was an Othello retelling and like all of these things in like cheesy high school movies. And I don't know why, but I love those. And then even you go back to the Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink and Better Off Dead.
So
like all of those kinds of, yeah. So I've always loved that genre of film. And this is a version of that is extremely well produced because of the people behind it, right? So you've got Spielberg was a producer on it who had his name removed.
Really?
So, yes, right. If you watch the credits, you won't see Spielberg, but Spielberg was there. And I'm going to show you in a little bit. There's a hint of Spielberg being there. I got a clip of that.
Ooh, a clip.
And then you've got Phil Giuliano, I think is how you say his name. Like he did U2 Rattle and Hum documentary, and he's done several really good like music documentaries and some TV shows. He directed it, and this was really early in his career. You had Barry Sonnenfeld, who went on to be a director in his own right and a producer. He was the cinematographer for this film, and he was also the cinematographer for Raising Arizona. And if you watch this and watch that, you'll see his influences. There's a lot of real rapid, like, camera movements. Like, we looked at one, like, right at the very beginning when he looks in the dryer to see if his clothes are in there. There's this real serious push in, and he kind of does a lot of speed ramping. And he doesn't do a lot of zooms, like they're actual camera movements. And he does the camera movements. When he shoots them in slow motion, and then he plays it back and sort of sped up. And so you get this weird, like, jerky, almost like frame skipping kind of thing that happens, this effect that's very unique to, and he does it in Raising Arizona as well. Anyway, I'm launching into like little trivia about this thing.
trivia.
Yeah. This was your first time ever watching 3 O'Clock High.
Indeed.
And you watched it like 3 times, I think, since I signed it to you.
I've seen it 3
All
times.
right, so what are your? Let's start overall
My
thoughts. Yeah.
Overall thoughts. It's a good like. I feel like so inadequate saying anything about this movie, considering how many times you've seen it.
No, this is the whole point, is that you're validating my love of this movie.
Yeah, apparently you had, maybe still have an entire folder full of things from this movie.
Yeah, so what happened was, I don't know, this is early 90s probably when I started digging into this. I started writing people and like writing letters to production people, people involved with this, like companies and people involved with this film, and about my fandom of this film. I was in college at this point, probably, maybe senior year of high school, freshman year of college, something. Yeah, I guess I was probably in college, just maybe still sophomore year of college. And someone finally sent back to me like the press kit for the film. And so it's actually like this little white folder that says 3 O'Clock High on it, and it's got a bunch of production stills in it and like bios of all the actors, and it's what they sent out to the press when the movie came out to be like, hey, you should go see this movie. And again, it was like a physical thing. It's not an email it was before any of that crap existed. And so, I went and I didn't go get, I wrote people until someone sent me that thing. And then what I ended up doing was I scanned in some of those pictures, which is not as easy as it is now, like going here and doing that. Like I had to go, I actually ended up going to a medical imaging laboratory. Like in a hospital.
Oh my God.
And I like paid this guy under the table like $50 to take copies of these images, and I even got a still frame from the movie a shot that I really loved. That's the two of them standing side by side at the urinal with Jerry trying to shake his hand. I got a capture of that off of a VHS tape, blown up poster size, and it's black and white because that was like the best they could do. But it was done by a medical imaging laboratory, some dude that I knew that worked in one of those places that I just paid under the table to do it. So I took those images back, and I built a 3 O'Clock High fan site at the University of Texas. And so it was one of, if not the first website at the University of Texas that used images.
Oh, wow.
Because we had just switched over from Lynx, which was a text-only browser, right? So it's like playing Zork on the internet. So you could browse the internet, and there were web pages, but they were all just text, and so you were just looking at like command line internet. And so Mozilla came out with a text browser, with an image browser, and HTML first came out, like the first version of HTML, so you could do it. And I built one of the first websites there, and that website was a 3 O'Clock High fan page that took all of the images from that like press kit and some of the stuff that I had my buddy that I paid that guy to convert over for me and stuff. And so I created this really cool
hella
page.
dedication. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I every once in a while I think about going and looking at like the Wayback Machine. Like I don't even think I don't even think the Wayback Machine goes back that far. These are early days, but yes.
Wayback Machine does go back pretty far.
I had a press kit, and we haven't been able to find it since we moved here, but there's no way I got rid of it, so I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Anyway, what were your thoughts about the movie?
How many bars in are we?
Yeah, we're many bars.
Okay, so I thought this movie, I love, like you said, just sort of like high school.
Okay, why don't you describe what the movie's about real quick? Let's try something new and actually tell people what the thing we're talking about is.
Okay, alrighty, 1 second. I'm going to ruin all your ears by scooching my chair back. Oh, hey, that didn't actually make that much noise. I could have done that the whole time. Oh, whatever. Okay, so this movie is about Jerry. I don't remember his last name. Jerry Mitchell.
Casey Shamasco.
He looks so much like Tom Holland. He looks a lot like Tom Holland.
Really?
Yes, he looks like Tom Holland.
All right.
And I don't...
Like Spider-Man Tom Holland?
Yes, Spider-Man Tom Holland.
All right.
What other Tom Holland is
I
there?
don't know. I'm just making sure I've got the right guy.
Yes.
Like, I get Tom Hardy. I was like, Tom Hardy? He doesn't really look like Tom Hardy. That's kind of weird. He's like Bane? That's kind of bizarre. Jerry Mitchell and Bane? I never would have... No. But he's kind of a Spider-Man-y high school geek. So, I'm going with that.
He is Peter Parker.
I'm with you.
He looks like Peter Parker.
Okay.
Anyways.
So, Jerry Mitchell.
This guy that looks like Peter Parker, Jerry Mitchell. Mm-hmm. He's going to his high school, and he's like one of those nerdy kids who has perfect grades and stuff, which was mentioned in the movie. He
works in the student store.
He does work in the student store, which, by the way, okay, I have a question for you.
All right. Well, let's describe what happens first. Let's
finish
one thought and then loop back.
So he works at the student store, good student, and so And then this new kid comes. His name is Buddy Revol. His name is not. No one calls him Buddy. Everyone
Buddy
calls
Revell.
Revell. Is it?
Yeah.
You say Revol.
It's not Revol. Buddy Revell.
Say his name.
Buddy Revell.
You say Revol? I swear to God, you say it like Revol.
Buddy Revell.
Buddy Revol. I swear to God, it sounds like Buddy Revol when everyone says it.
Okay.
I think it's their accents or whatever. It does not sound like Buddy Revol.
His name's Buddy Revell.
She says it right.
Yeah, well, that's the first time you hear it.
His name's Buddy Revell.
His
I
name's
swear
Buddy
to God,
Revell.
It's Buddy Revol.
No, Buddy Revell. Okay,
I swear
anyway.
to God. Okay. Anyways, I've heard Buddy Revol. Whatever. Buddy Revell, this guy, he shows up, and he's tough kid. Apparently broke someone's neck, so that's
That's why they call it continuation, so you can continue murdering people and still graduate.
Indeed.
Right.
He kills people.
So he comes like
He's a
basically
rowdy
from
boy.
reform school.
Yeah.
Or continuation. Like sometimes it's called continuation.
That's weird.
Which means kind of like a reform school or the place where the bad kids go.
He's the rowdy,
school.
lawless boy.
So they can continue murdering people and still
And-
graduate.
Yes, and so he's
Okay,
coming
so
to
he
the
comes.
school.
Buddy Revell comes to the school the first day.
Everyone is gossiping. Everyone is...
Lots of got really cool gossip scene.
That scene was so cool.
And it's a little Grease,
It
right?
is.
It's a little like the opening scene of Grease with like different conversations kind of branching, right?
Yeah.
It goes beyond that, but yeah. So it's like one conversation that happens, but it's like 5 different groups of people
Yeah,
that are
it's so
having that
cool.
conversation, and so it pans from one to the other and follows them into the classroom.
That was a
Yes.
really, really cool shot.
really cool scene. So everybody's talking about Buddy Revell.
And so then everyone, one of the teachers, I'm gonna call her Miss Fleming because she reminds me of Miss Fleming from Heathers. So Miss Fleming is thinks that they should not be being rude to him.
Yeah,
because he
she
murdered
runs the school
people.
paper.
Yeah, sure. So she's like, so she wants an article in the school paper about him, which also I forgot I didn't know school papers were like a real thing.
Which
has been assigned to Jerry Mitchell.
That sound effect sounds so weird.
I know,
at the
but that's
shot.
very like that's
Which has been
That's the movie,
assigned
right?
to-
These cool sound effects, like he brings
Yeah.
all this stuff in. That was shot. It was one of the things that like she's scrolling her finger down the paper to say like who it's been assigned to.
Yes.
And it like stops right on Jerry Mitchell, but that's the thing they shot backwards.
And then he goes,
Like
oh, really?
yeah, she put her finger on Jerry Mitchell and then went up the page, and then they played it backwards
Oh,
so that
that's
it stopped.
cool.
Because there's no way she could scroll down and stop perfectly where she
On
needed
Jerry
to be. So
Mitchell,
you
yeah,
start
that'd be
there
hard.
and then do it that way and replay it backwards. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Right. So he's been assigned to write a story about Buddy Revell.
Yes, and then things go very, very wrong.
Yeah, so he runs into Buddy Revell, and they end up basically he makes Buddy Revell mad, and so Buddy says, "Hey, we're gonna have a fight today, 3:00
Yes.
in the parking lot."
Yes.
So now hence 3:00 high,
Wow.
and so the whole day is basically Buddy trying to get out of the fight, right?
Yes.
And
Because you don't want to fight this man.
he doesn't want to fight. Nobody wants to fight Buddy Revell. And so he spends the day. And actually, so they really just kind of remade this movie last year.
Really?
Yeah, kind of. It was called Fist Fight. And it was Charlie Day.
Oh, yeah, I know what
and-
that movie
and,
is. Okay.
Ice Cube. And it was not good. Like, I went to see it. And, of course, I
But
wasn't
it's
going to
about
like
teachers.
it. But it was teachers that were getting in a fight. But it was, Charlie Day makes Ice Cube, pisses off Ice Cube, and Ice Cube wants to fight him after school. And so Charlie Day's trying to get out of the thing. And there's some very similar scenes. Like, it's obviously this movie, right?
Interesting.
Here's how he got in trouble.
You didn't have to touch Ravel in the bathroom, did you? Did I tell you to do that?
That's really funny.
It was very bad.
It's really awesome. It's good out of context.
It's very good out of context.
Yeah, so Buddy Revell's a touch freak, right? He doesn't
Oh my
like
God,
it when
yeah.
anyone touches him.
Mood, first of all.
And so, Jerry accidentally touches, or not doesn't accidentally, but he touches him without knowing he's not supposed to touch him.
I mean,
And
he
that-
knows, but
that
he's
leads-
just like,
Yeah, I don't even know if he knew.
oh.
I'm not even sure he had heard that story at this point. Yeah.
He's just-
So the movie is really just Jerry trying to spend the day trying to get out of the fight.
Yeah,
Right? Okay.
cool.
So
That's the movie.
Yeah. So now let's
So-
continue on with your thoughts about
My
how
thoughts-
they told that story.
Presley's thoughts.
Yeah.
You don't have a theme song for it. You
No,
should
I
make
don't.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so I thought it was really cool. The shots were
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really well done. There's this one particular scene that sort of stood out to me where they're watching. By the way, I don't know if this actually happens, but in nature class, they're watching this documentary. It's a nature documentary about like.
No, it
a
totally
cricket.
happens. Yeah.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
So like this cricket is being attacked.
Suddenly, the cricket becomes frozen with fear, unable to escape as the crab scorpion moves closer.
Yes. So cricket and crab scorpion, and so it's this really gruesome nature documentary.
Right.
And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
liked
they're
that
obviously,
shot.
like, they're paralleling,
Yes.
Jerry's the cricket, right? Like, it's a little heavy-handed, but they do, throughout the whole movie, they're setting up all of these parallels between what's going on with Jerry and Buddy, and then it's pep rally day, so there's a big pep rally that happens. We'll talk
Ooh,
about it
yeah,
a little
pep
bit. But there's posters all over the wall, and like as the day goes on, the posters get a little more gruesome.
Oh,
Like
really?
the language that they're using in the posters for like beat the Wildcats to it gets pretty gross.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't
And
notice
then
that.
the classrooms and offices of the teachers and things, the paint gets darker.
Yeah.
As it gets closer to
Yeah,
the
that's
fight,
so cool.
and so you slowly start like the mood gets darker and darker and darker. So there's some
that's so
real cool like set design going on. Actually, the film strip starts out like this. Just perfect film strip music.
It's Dharma music.
It is Dharma music. We're going to talk a little bit about Dharma too. That's going to come up
during
here in a
this
second. Yeah, we're
podcast?
going to talk about Lost during this podcast, as you might well
Really?
imagine.
Wow.
All right, so this music is that plays at the beginning of the film strip with the cricket and the crab scorpion is from the Jaws soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like a little like school film strip version of the Jaws soundtrack, which was used because Steven Spielberg was an executive producer of this.
Because.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's why.
That's how
Steven
they got the
Spielberg.
rights to use it, right? Was because Steven Spielberg was
So
involved
that,
with the film.
why was his name taken off? What did he do?
Yeah, I don't know.
He did something.
Well, no. He took his name off.
Oh.
Like he thought that the film was going to be a little more lighthearted, I think. And then like when he saw, so Phil Joanna, the director, says that when he showed it to Spielberg, like the finished product, Spielberg's like, "Oh my God, you made a Scorsese movie," which is not, a light and frothy high school movie. So I think that's part of why Spielberg took his name off, which I thought was kind of funny.
Frothy.
Yeah. I think it's a really fantastic thing. All right, so let me talk about the Lost stuff real quick.
Oh, we're talking about Lost now.
Yeah, just for a second, since we brought it up. All right, there is a shot in the so the shot in the very beginning when they're looking in the dryer.
Yes.
Is the hatch shot.
It is.
It is 100%.
the same shot.
Yeah. So his little sister Bree and Jerry Mitchell are looking in the dryer, and it's a shot from inside the dryer.
And they're peeking
looking
in.
at them, and it is exactly the
It's
Lost
the
shot,
Lost
right?
shot.
I shall continue. That's not the only Lost
Oh.
thing. So then you've got the film strip music, which does
Dharma
get
music.
used very much like the Dharma music and the Lost thing. And then this I didn't even notice until I rewatched it with my headphones on to get ready for the podcast. So this is during the film strip. The two film student guys are trying to get him to kind of sign the release and stuff, and then it goes all. I mean, what is that? Like it's
from
totally the
Lost.
whispers.
This is just in Lost.
It is one. I am now going on record and saying this inspired Lost.
This movie inspired
Yes,
Lost.
that Damon Lindelof watched
Carlton
3 O'clock
Cuse.
High and Carlton Cuse. They got together one night and they watched 3 O'clock High.
Was there.
And they're like, what if instead of looking in a dryer, they were looking in a hatch? And then they just started having this conversation. And it's
They
like,
wrote
oh,
Lost.
those whispers are really cool. What if we did something? Oh, I love film strip music. We should totally put. And so they just, through the course of watching this movie, they created Lost.
This Lost. Okay, here's
This is
my
the source of
hot
Lost.
take.
Yeah.
My hot take is that this takes place on the island.
It could very well take place on the island. I wouldn't be surprised if the island had a school.
That's my hot take.
They could that's another excellent call. I'm fully on board with that as headcanon as well.
Jerry Mitchell comes at the end of the show. The ending that everyone's talking about is just Jerry
goes-
Mitchell comes out of the forest.
No, it just goes boom. Like at the end, that would be a perfect ending for
Oh my
3 O'clock
God.
High.
Can you edit that, please?
Yeah. Okay, so
We have Lost episodes on our
all right, so I got the lots of Foley. There's a really
I
like
have my
that
thoughts.
that sound
Let's get
effect
this.
of her of the finger kind of sliding
the
down.
finger. Yeah.
I also have while he's trying to when he's getting his clothes out of the dryer and putting them on the counter. I don't know how well this is probably going to come off really good in our headphones, but I'm not sure how good people listening at home, the home viewer, is going to pick this up. But listen to how loud the wetness of these clothes are when he takes
God, I
when he
remember-
puts them on the counter.
That's in my notes.
That's why they call it continuation.
Oh wait, that's probably not the right clip at all.
I wrote this in my notes.
Like that's a lot of water. Wait, listen to that first one. Okay, hold on. All right, listen to the first one again. You ready? Like that. Like that's some pretty wet clothes.
Dislike.
Coming out of the thing. Yeah, so
I hate
there's a
that.
lot of Foley like that. There's another one. Okay, I almost said my favorite character, but that's just silly.
It's a lie.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite character. I love most of the major characters. One of my favorite characters in this film, the Duke.
The Duke.
The Duker.
Meet him.
So I got to meet the Duker. So Presley and I go to a lot of Comic-Cons. If you watch the channel, you know we go to Comic-Cons all the time.
Really?
And so we usually, a lot of times, we'll either pay so Presley can get her picture taken with somebody, Matt Smith, like Felicia Day, like all of these people that Presley loves, she'll get her picture taken. And I've never done that. And then in the past, I've done it twice now since we've been here. Or not since we've been here, but since we've been doing this kind of stuff. Yeah. Once was for the guy that plays the Duker. Yes. And he's also in X-Files, so everybody was in line to see him to play the X-Files. Yeah. And so when we got to meet him, I was like, "Oh my God, you're the Duker!" And he just immediately responded with one of his lines from the film.
That's so cool.
And he said like, you're the first person that's ever said something about that movie to me. So he probably still remembers it. But so he's the school security guard who has some really, really great scenes. And he's trying to take Jerry Mitchell to the office because he's having car trouble. And when he grabs Jerry Mitchell and like turns his golf cart, it plays this really crazy, like, listen. Like that's
Jesus! Oh my God!
That's the sound of his golf cart like crashing. Like it's a roar. Like it's clearly a cat,
that's
right?
Clearly.
Like that's clearly a cat.
Most definitely
of
a cougar.
sort. Yeah, like it's really. So they took all of these things and dropped them in there. Here's the Duker again. And so Forrest and I, when we were watching this, used to always laugh about the yeah. Like listen to the yeah-yeahs in this. And so there's actually an edit there, and so we never could tell for sure if they took, like this, it's just kind of cut bad. Like, I'm dogging ya. So he's saying, I'm dogging ya, you little punk, right? Mm-hmm. And so is it, from one cut was, I'm dogging ya, and then the other cut says, you little punk, instead of, like, just having the one ya there. Yeah. Like, there's kind of the theory that it's, I'm dogging ya, you little punk, right? Yeah, you little punk. So we had a lot of theories about stuff that was going on.
About this movie.
Well, there's also.
Are you going to talk about it?
I'm going to talk about a different one. I'm talking about the note.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
All right, so this is one of my favorite parts of the movie too. Like they're all my favorite parts. But when Jerry goes to his car to just try and leave, eventually he's just like, all right, I'm just going to ditch. I'm just going to go home, right? He goes out to his car and there's a switchblade stuck in his steering wheel of his mother's car, which is awesome. And it has a note in it. And then it is his mother's car. It's totally his mother's car. But the note says 3 o'clock. I mean, it doesn't just say 3 o'clock on it, but it says 3 o'clock on it. And it's written in pencil. The whole note is written in pencil, except for one of the zeros of the 3 o'clock is clearly written in pen. And it just makes no sense at all. Like, it's so mind-boggling to look at this note and see, like, 3 colon ballpoint pen 0, pencil 0. As 3, like I can't. We never had a valid theory
what was one of your
for
invalid
either.
Theories?
Like, how did that happen from a production standpoint? Like, we never could come up with just an explanation of why that would ever happen in making that note, and then having some sort of in-game theory about what happened in the film that would cause Buddy to make that 1 0
That's why
with a
he
pin.
did it. He did it
just to mess with
Jerry
him,
Mitchell.
just to totally mess with him, just completely get in his head. Like, I'm gonna write this 1 0 with a pen, and it's really gonna screw with his head through the whole thing.
What was your invalid theory about this?
I don't even remember. I'll have to ask my buddy what if we ever even had one. It was just so mind-boggling. I don't know that we ever even came up with something.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Where we said, like, here's why that happened. We're jumping all around this movie.
All around.
And we're all over the place.
You have to watch this movie to understand anything being said.
I am begging you watch this film. It's so good.
Yeah, you have to watch this film to understand anything we're saying in the first place.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my thoughts is, so I have very few thoughts because I kept getting distracted by the movie and forgetting to take notes.
This is this is one of those. Like, you can also tell, like, on a podcast when you're doing soundboards and stuff like that. When we watch the Lost podcast, you can tell how good the episode was by how few sound clips he has because he gets so wrapped up in watching the show he forgets to grab clips.
Yeah. There's a couple of lines that are just have to be clips, but you know. Okay, so here's one of my thoughts, and that is that I was watching the movie, And so he goes into the school store, and there's just giant mess. And so he goes in. He's like, I am sad.
This is after the burglary.
Yes. So he goes in, and he goes, I'm sad about this mess. And the teacher comes in, and he's like, oh, I'm sad about this mess. It's unfortunate that this happened. And then they leave, and and it starts with a shot of the clock, and it ends with a shot of the clock. And I thought there's a continuity error there. It turns out I'm just really dumb and don't know how to read analog clocks.
I believe that.
So that's my story about this, is that I totally thought it was like 20 minutes later.
Right.
And I was like, that took 20 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't.
No, it did not. It did not.
Yeah.
Lots of clocks. So the clock is
a lot of
definitely a
clocks.
theme. Like it opens. You can even in the, I guess I should have known. I'm pretty sure that starts with you can hear a clock, right?
I guess I should have known from the beginning. It was gonna be one of those days.
So there's lots of ticking. There's
Yeah.
even showing clocks, like the hand moving.
Yeah,
Like you
that
actually
was
see a
cool.
lot of shots of the hand move and stuff. So yeah, there's time and time passing is obviously a big element.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
And one of my thoughts is that, like, in a lot of movies, like, I thought I just heard the clock ticking. A lot of movies like this, there are really, like, bad relationships with the siblings. They're fighting all the time, and they're like,
Bree.
oh, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But him and Bree's relationship is just, like, very real.
Yeah,
and
I was going to
good.
say, like,
It's
this is
valid.
part of my notes, too, that kind of gets me back on track with the beginning of the movie, where I thought, and I'm curious what you thought about this, too, right? So at the beginning of the movie, it almost seemed like Jerry Mitchell, like, kind of had his shit together. Like,
Almost.
like sure,
No.
but he was, like, dealing with obstacles. But really, I think what it was Bree throwing in the keys.
Yeah.
Because he's like, keys, and she throws the keys, and he catches them, and they go outside, and get in the car, and he
That's
speeds
pretty
out the thing. Like, that was kind of a together thing to do.
But
and then when he's
opening
driving, and, yeah, I know, but, like, there's other stuff that makes it like
know.
he's not, right? And he's smelling his clothes in his bedroom to see what
Right.
he should put on to wear to school that day. But when he's driving to school, and he runs the light, right? Because Karen is next to him in her...
Her name is Karen.
It's Karen, yeah. In her, like, Sebring convertible. I think it would, whatever,
Wow.
LeBaron, whatever the hell it was. But when he runs the light, so number one, he does, like they do, the donuts, and he spins around and
Yeah.
stuff, but he just kind of, like, pops out, and off he goes. And so it's kind of like he pulled it off, right?
Yeah.
And then Bree, like you're talking about his little sister, Bree's in the back seat, and she just gives him this look that's like, oh, yeah, that's my brother, right?
Yeah.
She's got this, that's
I like
how
her.
it, that's
She's
how
very
it goes.
good.
And so he kind of seemed like he had it together a little bit. Karen quote.
I don't do homework in bed.
That's a good quote. I like that part.
That's so funny because he's trying to sell her a pen.
He's trying to sell her space pen.
She comes into the student store and she's like, I need some paper and a pen. And he's like, oh, paper? You won't believe what just came in. I happen to have this. Or no, he's like, you won't believe what came in is the pen.
Yes.
But he's like, college rule, double line, yellow steno pad, legal pad. Like he just goes through this paper litany of things he has.
I would-
And she's like, yeah, just white is fine. And so he pulls some paper and she's like, and a pen? And he's like, oh, you won't believe what just came in. I've got this amazing pen. And you know how when you're doing homework in bed and you're writing upside down and the ink stops flowing, well, it has this amazing flow system. So it's like it is the astronaut
It's a space pen.
But her response is,
I don't do homework in bed.
which is a really
And then he just sort of like,
solid,
oh.
solid. He's like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, that's silly me. How about a bic? Is the
about a bic?
correct response to that statement, I think. Yeah, okay. So
Whenever anyone says that.
here's my other favorite Karen quote.
Your other one.
Yeah, hold on, this is it, and it's just this.
Oh my god, yes, I love it when she does that. She just sort of. It's
Because she
such,
says,
like,
have you ever been in a fight before? And he goes, not really. And she goes,
the look on her face is just very like, yeah, okay.
yeah.
She has such
yeah,
a
yeah.
good. She's
But
such a good
she also,
character.
like, in the same way that Bree is super sweet and they have, like, a good relationship and stuff, like, Karen seems really nice. Like, she
Yeah.
does, it's kind of you got a Heather's Mean Girls thing
She's
happening.
McNamara.
Because there's the two girls following her around all the time, and it's like the three girls that are always...
Yeah, that's very
right?
Heather's.
But she seemed genuinely kind of nice. And, like,
McNamara.
even when she was saying, like, when he couldn't get the cash register to open to give her
Oh my
change...
god, that was.
She's like, it's okay, I'll come back later. And she really, like, seemed like she meant, like, don't worry about it, I'll come back later. Not like, oh my God, I can't believe what a dork this guy is.
Yeah.
I'm just one out of the situation. She seemed to kind of
She has,
genuinely
like, this
be like,
very,
hey,
like-
don't worry about it, I'll come back.
She has this very. It's not flat, but her voice is just very. ASMR.
Yeah,
Like, hello.
Yeah, no, she is very, very, very soothing. Very
It's
soothing.
very good. I like her voice a whole
She's one of my
bunch.
favorite 30-year-old high school students.
Yes, I was gonna mention that they all are like very obviously.
They were
adults.
like 25.
Like
I think.
log.
They were about 25.
Yeah, they're all very obviously
Yeah.
adults, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so here's so first of all, the thought which is important is that the shirt that he's wearing at the beginning of this movie before he puts on the shirt to go to school.
Yeah.
Is Lance's shirt from Voltron.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's
I
the
had
same
no idea.
shirt.
No idea.
And then my thought here is this opening montage of "Oops, I woke up too late. Time to hurry" is in every high school movie that has ever been made.
Definitely.
And then, oh yeah, what is Bond? We must do bonding. What is her name? What is her name? I don't remember.
It's Franny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Her name. She.
I thought you were going to say, what does she mean by bonding? And I was like, okay, let's not.
No.
Let's not
that's
open
not what
this
I'm saying.
podcast to that conversation.
That's not what I'm saying.
You and I will talk later.
That's not what I'm saying. I asked you what her name is.
What is Bond? No,
okay,
I don't
it's
want to. All right, okay.
Okay, I was asking what her name is. So, yeah, she tosses aside an outfit that is very, 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 very strong and reminds me of Brooke's outfit from Be More Chill.
Was it like the plaid coat with a big brooch on it?
No.
Yeah.
Because
Because that was definitely a thing.
Yeah,
Like a big,
really?
baggy coat. And then Karen actually ends up wearing a coat almost exactly like that later in the movie.
her, apparently it's
metal
pronounced brooch. Brooch is such, I want to say brooch.
Yeah,
not
I wouldn't say brooch if I were you.
a brooch.
I mean, you can, but no matter how much you want to, I probably would not.
So it's a brooch.
It is a brooch.
And
I love your brooch.
brooch.
That's such a lovely brooch.
Okay, whatever.
Excuse me, do you sell brooches here?
So stupid. That's so stupid. Okay, whatever. It's really cool. I really like her brooch. Honestly, I think it's a cool brooch. And then there's a joke about a dog apparently somewhere in this movie that I wrote down.
Man, I don't even remember that. I've seen this movie 100 times. I'm not sure I remember a dog joke.
It says haha dog joke.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
All right.
Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, this was me complaining about like the really wet clothes. And like all the sound effects in this movie are super overdone, which is just part of the movie.
No,
I thought
that's
it was cool.
fully intentional.
It's
Yeah.
intentional.
Yep.
And then when he's running the red light,
Yeah.
there's these shots in between him, like in between he is about to run the red light and he's the red light.
Yeah.
That are like clearly taken on a very busy intersection.
Yeah,
And I'm
so-
like, oh my, how many people are there?
If you pause that shot while he's running the red light and getting into trouble, you can clearly see that there are two cars in his lane coming towards him. Like they put all of the lanes with traffic coming at him just to make it look more chaotic.
Yeah.
But there's actually, I think, a truck and a car that are actually in his lane, in the wrong lane, coming towards him just to make it look more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like a very busy intersection.
It was extra busy that day because they had cars in all the lanes doing the wrong thing to make it look a little extra chaotic. Yeah, that totally happened.
So that was very chaos.
Yeah. There's one of my other things that I liked about the beginning of it was, so he's drying his shirt in the microwave. The wet shirt that made the noise we just heard. And so he takes a box of Pop-Tarts out of the cupboard because he's going to eat a Pop-Tart for breakfast while he's doing it. And he's like, why not just throw it on my shirt? But he takes out one of the foil packs of the Pop-Tarts, and it's open, and there's one Pop-Tart left in it, and he puts it on his shirt. And I'm like, who the hell eats one Pop-Tart?
One Pop-Tart.
Like, when is there a case that someone has one Pop-Tart left in the bag inside a Pop-Tart box? Like, that doesn't happen. Maybe they just didn't want him to have to open the bag or something, so they already had the bag open. But like, why would there be one Pop-Tart in a bag?
Listen,
because Pop-Tart, you probably don't even know this, but Pop-Tarts come to
I do know this. I
a little
love
foil
Pop-Tarts.
bag. Yeah.
I loved Pop-Tarts when I could eat them. I
Right.
loved them so much.
Okay.
So, also cinnamon Pop-Tarts, best Pop-Tarts. So yeah, like, well, I mean, if you have a mother, then sometimes you're forced to eat one Pop-Tart.
Yeah, I don't know. But then, like, your sibling would eat it. Bree would have eaten the other Pop-Tart.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they would both Pop-Tarts.
Why are
really
there
well.
only one Pop-Tart? That's a really weird thing. Okay, whatever. Anyways, he's just like that sometimes.
Yeah, this is true.
Okay, so yeah, this is I think I got distracted right after this. I'm trying to figure out what this dog joke is.
Yeah, well, here, this is a good time then. We're going to take a little housekeeping break.
Ooh.
Yeah?
Yes.
Listen to this.
Remember that sound effect?
Hey, cool. So we're actually, and the reason that we're taking a mid-podcast housekeeping break is because we got an email.
We got one email!
Somebody sent us an email.
Thank you!
And I think her name is Rose. It's G. Geister is the name on the account, and they didn't actually sign the email. But then there's a Rose in the email address, which I won't read out loud. But there is a Rose in there, so I think it's probably Rose, which is a lovely name.
Yeah,
I like the name Rose.
It's Rose from Lost.
So here's what Rose has to say. Rose says, "Hi, you said in a recent video that you wanted emails, so here's an email for you."
Thank you.
I
for
know.
Your email.
Smiley face.
Wink.
Wink.
None of you know what that means, do you?
So that is from the audiobook of
Ready
Ready Player
Player
One, which is really good. When he reads the text that they send back and forth, he goes, wink.
It's Will Wheaton.
It's Will Wheaton.
And
It's
apparently
fantastic.
it never crossed your mind.
All right, hold on. All right.
Okay.
So here's an email for you. Honestly, I don't know what to say, but first of all, I'm homeschooled too. Yay.
Hey!
Another happy face.
Nice.
Or like cheering face, or something like that.
Which one?
I'm
Which
11 years
character?
old, and I'm also a total geek, which is fantastic. Love that. Did your dad watch Voltron when he was a kid? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. My dad did, and he rewatched some of the old episodes recently, and it was so cheesy I felt like I was about to throw up.
So cheesy. It is. It's so cheesy. It's very like that.
I share that sentiment. Like, I've rewatched some of it too, and it's pretty bad.
There's
it's
this
pretty
one
bad.
scene in classic Voltron
Yeah.
where Allura and a character that's not in the main Voltron yet are talking.
Yes.
And she's like, I don't know about Lotor. I mean, he has really big shoulders. And the other one goes, oh, well, you do hear he wears shoulder pads. And then it's just, everyone's like, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Everybody wore shoulder pads in the 80s.
Yeah, but it was a big deal on him. And then there's this one scene where they're in the middle of this evacuation. And this lady drops her kid. So he's getting like trampled by all these people. And he goes, Mom! And it's so bad. It's like so bad. And the people are all copy pasted. It is
Okay,
fantastic.
don't make me have to start reading this email over. Okay, I'll start over.
Save it for your Voltron podcast.
Respect the format, Presley. All right. It's so cheesy, I felt like I was about to throw up. Netflix revived it a few years ago, and the new version is pretty enjoyable.
It is pretty enjoyable.
Would you
I will
agree with
say
that? Yeah.
I will say that it is pretty enjoyable. I actually haven't watched the two.
Funnily enough, is that a word?
Yes, it is.
Funny.
Wait, no, people say it all the time.
Funnily enough,
Yeah, people say that.
I found this really brooch. That, no, you referenced Voltron earlier in the podcast already.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, when you were talking about the shirt that
I
Jerry Mitchell
did.
wore. Yeah. Okay, without Presley this is the first time she's heard of this email, and so she didn't know that we were going to talk about Voltron.
Yes.
So and then
It is
it
pretty
ends.
enjoyable.
Okay, bye. Which is a great way to end an email.
Really good way.
So number one, thank you, Rose. I'm going to pretend your
Thank
name's
you.
Rose. Thank you so much for sending an email.
Yes, thank you.
It's very sweet of you. And we really, really appreciate it, and we love you very much for sending us an email. Send us another one.
Hold on. I
What?
just got a name in my head, and I have to remember who this is.
Yeah, let's not do that in the middle of a podcast. How about?
Sorry.
Don't sit quietly reflecting for an hour trying to remember a name. Okay, if someone else were to get a hankering to send us an email,
Can you not? This is a family podcast.
how would they satisfy that hankering?
Okay, so first of all, this is a family podcast. They would not. They have decided if they thought they wanted to email us, they definitely don't want to right now.
Winner of 66 is furious.
So mad.
Yeah, right.
Winner of 69 is furious.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
all right.
Anyways,
Yes. How do you satisfy your email hankering?
so you can email us at validatemepodcast@gmail.com. So send us an email there. Because for the longest time, all we had in our email was like, your Twitter account has been confirmed to exist, and it's really sad.
Well, we do have
now
a
we
Twitter
one for
account,
Rose.
so if someone
We
wanted
do.
to send us a tweet, how would they do that?
At ValidateMeCast,
That's
which you
right.
definitely stole from the Adventure Zone cast.
That's right.
But-
Or you could always just, drop a comment on the video if you're watching us on YouTube. Hi,
Hello.
YouTube. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, you can just drop us a comment there.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Let me see if I can figure out how to actually manipulate us back into...
Nice.
Hey, we're back.
Hey. Hey, welcome back.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I'll read through some of my notes, and I'll ask you questions.
Yes, ask
Because
me.
you
I
sound
have
like
questions
you
for
sort
you.
of started getting into the movie.
Yeah, I have questions for you, actually.
So there's the shot when I was talking about when he's driving and Karen's beside in her LeBaron. That's from National Lampoon, right? There's National Lampoon's Vacation.
I have no idea what that is.
But it's Christy Brinkley in a little red convertible, like a Ferrari or something.
don't
but
know
yeah,
what that
don't worry
means.
about it. But that's a shot that's lifted too. Let's see.
Stolen. A thief.
Yeah, like the Florida Project. Let's see. Karen seems nice. School. This is really funny. In the student store, this is one of my favorite quotes. This is the teacher teaching that advises the student store.
Oh,
who
yeah.
is hilarious. Like that guy. Like you have to watch Arrested Development and all these things. That he's
looks really
brilliant.
familiar.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
done
know.
a ton of stuff, right? But he has this great line.
All right, I'll see you later, son. I gotta chalk the sidelines for the JV game this afternoon.
I gotta go find my son.
You have no idea how pathetic that is, too, right? Like I have to go chalk the sidelines for the JV game this afternoon. Is a really pathetic thing for a teacher to be saying because he's not even because chalking the sidelines. Number one is a terrible job. Like,
I don't know.
Well, it's like, you got a
Sports.
football game and the white lines that are on there. Like that's
Yeah.
actually, they used to roll like chalk out on a little
that
machine that was
sucks.
like, would draw those lines on the thing. And so the guy's job was to actually do that. And he's not even doing it for like the A team. He's doing it for the JV team. So he's chalking the sidelines for the JV team.
I don't
Like
know
it's
what the
just
JV team
stacking.
is.
Junior varsity. So it's like you got the varsity team, which is the main team. And then there's a junior varsity team that's like below them. You're not even the best team in your school, like much less like in the district or anything, right? And so, yeah, chalking, that's a really good, like, that is a well-written high school guidance counselor kind of line. I've got to chalk the sidelines for the JV game. And I think maybe it says this afternoon even. Like, it's an afternoon game. Like, it's not even an evening game.
All right, I'll see you later, son. I gotta chalk the sidelines for the JV game this afternoon.
Yeah, see? So it's probably like a Tuesday that the JV team is playing. Yeah, I thought that was a super funny line. Okay,
That's a good
you got
line.
questions? Bring them on.
Okay, my
I'm ready.
questions.
Let's go.
Okay, so at the homeschool enrichment I went to,
Yep.
we did have a school store, but it
Yeah.
only ran for it only ran for 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, the school store is open most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
It only ran for 2 weeks. Did they sell lollipops?
probably. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
sold lollipops at our
I
school
mean,
store.
candy bars and stuff like that.
Nice.
Like we had the
Also,
only
it's so
time,
big.
the only student store I remember was in the Catholic school that I went to,
Oh yeah.
and we had
that's
like a
story.
legit, yeah, that's a whole thing, right?
That's a story.
The reason I know we had a student store is because I very often had to go buy a razor so I could shave before
At
they would let me go
school?
to class. Yeah. You had to be
wow.
nice and clean shaven before you went to class.
Why didn't you just bring one with you?
Yeah, because I didn't like shaving. I didn't like people telling me what to do. Don't tell me what I can't do. Right?
That's not telling you what you
totally,
can't do.
Like by and large, I don't like people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
so, I didn't like the rules. The
Yeah.
man, the man. And at Catholic school, the man is really the man. And so, or he's got a straight
The
line to the man.
overseer.
And so, yeah, it was a pretty brutal thing. But yeah, we had a student store.
once I was doing something.
And it was even the same kind of thing that they had in 3 O'Clock High with the little Murphy door? Not a Murphy door. It's a Murphy bed. What do you call the door that opens, like the top and the bottom open separately?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. There's a name for
it's
that.
like a barn door.
Yeah, it's totally not a barn door.
Yes, they do. They have
that
those
is
at barns.
100% not the word for it.
Not a barn door.
But it was
It's a
like
door
that,
you
like
have in
you
barns.
close the bottom,
Yeah,
and then
you
you
have
do
those in
business.
barns.
You do not have those in barns. You mean like for horses? You mean like the horse? Yeah, but they don't have a top part at all.
Yes, they
It's not
do.
like there's a little closet you keep your horse in. It's just got a little gate at the front of it.
No, but
They
the horse
do not
window.
have stalls like in the bathroom that are fully. You have to knock.
They have no horse
They-
window.
They do. They don't have that kind of privacy.
They have a horse window.
It's a little gate.
They have a
Yeah, no,
horse
but it's a
window.
whole opening. There's no door there. It's not the
It's like
same
a
thing.
little door.
It's a gate.
It's two gates on top of each other.
No, there's not. Not in a horse. Not in a barn. I promise you, I have seen more barns than you have.
Yeah,
I
probably.
promise you, I have seen more barns than you have.
In the one barn I've been to,
And none of them have a little privacy glass for the horse.
they had one of them in the barn I've been to. The one barn.
Yeah,
And a sheep stall.
it's not a real barn.
It wasn't actually a real barn. It was a petting zoo.
And we'll see, that's a totally different thing. I don't know. Maybe the
barn.
petting zoo does something.
It's a barn that
so
turned
that's
into a
probably no.
petting zoo.
Yeah, okay. So this is probably because it is like a public building. They need to be able to close it up and lock it at night.
Yeah.
And so that probably has a full door on it. Yes, I will go along with
It's a
that.
half.
But in a
It's
barn, they
open,
probably
closed
don't.
door. There's
They probably
two
don't do that.
gates.
They probably don't do
Whatever.
that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions other than the barn
I
question?
had another question, but I think I already asked it to you.
Oh,
It'll
here's
come up.
oh, now see, I don't remember what some of my sound clips are because I pulled these so long ago,
boy.
and they've got little cryptic names. But here's him. This is another like super loud thing.
What is
This
it
is when it's called. I think it's called hitting glass, but it's when Buddy throws Jerry.
Oh my
into
God,
the,
that sound
into
effect,
the glass.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like a car crash.
Oh my God, that's not even I remember.
I mean, that's like Hurley stepping on plane, right? That's a serious.
Can we talk
if
for
you-
a second
if
about how
you've
rude
heard
it was that he stepped on plane?
Yeah, it was terrible that he stepped on plane. But so also, like, that's one of my favorite things too, because when Jerry goes back to class, he's just got this handprint on the front of his sweater.
Yeah.
And I love it. Oh,
It's
I
so
love
cool.
It. I love
It's
it,
like-
love it.
Yeah, it's.
They had
Shirts
to just
don't
like
do that.
spray it with
Yeah, I know,
starch
right?
and then have somebody grab it and make a big thing.
Like,
And it's a
shirts
huge
definitely don't do
hand.
that.
Like if you look at the handprint that would have been required to make that,
It's
like that's
large.
that's
Oh,
Buddy's hand.
here's one of my thoughts, which I forgot to write down.
Yeah.
And that is that Buddy Revell's face is exactly a square.
I love Buddy Revell.
Yes.
Love. Richard Tyson, who's the actor that plays Buddy Revell. So here's my favorite piece of Buddy Revell trivia.
Oh boy.
Richard Tyson.
Favorite piece.
Richard Tyson, who plays Buddy Revell. So he's from Biloxi, Mississippi, I think.
I can't answer that question.
I think it's Biloxi. And he moved out to L.A. and was living in his truck on the streets of L.A. when he went out for the audition for 3 O'Clock High.
Uh-huh.
And I think he said he went on like 20 callbacks for this thing, like 17, 20 callbacks for this, all the while living in his truck.
That's so many. Why do you need that many
And so
callbacks?
he got it, and it was his first big part. Maybe it had been his first part. It may have been his first thing he did, right? So his first job, number one, he got from Steven Spielberg, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
And number two, they flew him out to Utah, and he shot this movie. And then they flew him back, and a production assistant dropped him off at his truck. Where he was living after they came back to town, right? And Buddy Revell is amazing. Like the relative subtlety of his acting. Like he's actually a really good actor.
He's a really good
And he
actor.
went on and did several things. He did Two Moon Junction. He did Kindergarten Cop. He was the bad guy in Kindergarten Cop. Yeah. He did all these great things. I really love Richard Tyson. I have a lot of respect for Richard Tyson. And I think as an actor, like the performance is really good.
It is.
Like
It's
his
actually really
smile at the end, like this subtle little thing. I think
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
it's so subtle. And
When
it's
he
so
does
good.
when he does this one.
Didn't even try. How does that feel?
Like, that's a great line, and he delivers it so good. He's like just disgusted.
good.
Like the look on his face, he's so disgusted. So yeah, I love Buddy Revell. Okay, well,
cool.
you were just gonna say he was a square.
Yeah, he literally is a square.
He
Like
is.
no, he's not a square as in the insult.
No.
of
He
a
is
jock
the
guy.
shape of a square.
He literally is the shape of a square, and
Yeah, yeah.
that distracted me the entire time.
I agree with that.
Anyways,
He does look like a guy I wouldn't want to fight them.
definitely not.
Yeah.
He's relatable though in the way that like if you touch me, you will die.
What do you think about this character?
He's my spirit guide. He lived long ago, now he advises me from the beyond.
I used to be like that, and I'm so yeah.
Ethan.
More evidence! More evidence!
More Lost references, and Ethan's dead, and you gotta
That you just spoiled us.
No, I didn't say Ethan's dead.
You said Ethan from this movie is dead.
Yeah.
It's Ethan, the guy from Lost, is sneaking into her dreams
That's right.
and is manipulating her because this takes place on the island.
He's in the sweat lodge on the island, infiltrating her dreams right now.
Yes.
So I think it's really fun. Like my favorite part of Ethan is that
Which Ethan?
like
This Ethan?
this Ethan.
Yes.
Like nobody, like even listen to the end of this clip. We kind of cut it off here.
He's my spirit guide. He lived long ago, now he advises me from the beyond.
Oh, good idea.
Good idea.
Like it's the most subtle, and like clearly that guy doesn't know who Ethan is. So it's not like
Yeah.
there has been a long conversation about this. Like this is the first time he's hearing about Ethan, and he's like, "Oh, okay, good idea."
Cool.
Right? Like everybody just sort of takes Ethan at face value. Right?
Everyone's just like, yeah, okay.
And even Jerry's just like exasperated with him at some point. He's like, "Look, I know he's your spirit guide and all, but like I don't know that bonding on a display table is
a
gonna
great idea.
Right?
It's gonna help me.
And so, like I
That's
love
helpful.
the idea that Ethan exists in this movie and is referenced a lot, and everybody just sort of purely takes it
Right?
at face value.
Can I talk about
I think
how
it's fantastic. Yes.
like this is very like, and his name is Tim, like that thing,
Right.
That
Yeah.
because it's like there's this great spirit guide, and he guides me from the beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Ethan. Ethan's not a bad name.
Ethan's not a bad name, but it's also like one of those names,
Right.
Like Greg.
Okay, here's a clip. I don't even know what it is. It's called Under Your. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah. This is still in the bathroom.
You try and run, I'm gonna track you down. You go to a teacher, it's only gonna get worse. You sneak home, I'm gonna be under your bed.
Yeah, big.
He gets that like he runs out of air at the end of his lines. He's like, "Bleh." Like he totally runs out of air. But he's a spooky guy, right?
He's a spooky guy.
Yeah. All right.
No, that makes the delivery much better. I would have delivered that line that way anyways.
All right, let's see what this is.
What's 463250?
It's the last numbers. There's numbers.
There are numbers.
It
46,
takes place
32,
on the
15.
island.
I know that. I was saying, I knew that combination, and I didn't know my own locker combination.
Right.
I used to have to go to the
Well, you never
office at
used your
school.
locker in the
I didn't
first
go to my
place.
locker a lot. I used to have to go get that thing. Oh, I've actually got that clip. Let me see if this works.
Granny, I know he's your guardian angel.
Jerry?
Jerry.
But he's just so like, yeah, look, I know he's your guardian angel, and he's giving you advice and stuff, but come on, man.
Oh, come on, man. Pain is temporary. Film is forever.
I didn't even plan that. We both said, come on, man.
Come on, man. Pain is temporary. Film is forever.
Okay, so I've got some more clips that we're gonna dive
More
into
clips,
a little bit.
yeah.
Oh, I got a ton of clips, right? But I'm gonna play what may be my favorite Jerry Mitchell quote. You ready?
Hey, Mom.
I love that. That's so good. And like, okay, I just erased that from my memory of that movie.
That whole scene is really good.
I just like.
Yeah, him
It's
trying to
so-
get
okay.
detention by delivering the book report is like again,
Okay,
it's super
this
clever
goes into
and
my
well written.
theory
Yep.
that everything we've shown on this podcast is connected somehow. Squip.
Yeah, very squip, very squip.
It's all connected.
Yes, it's definitely all connected. All right, so Karen shows up, blah blah blah. Yeah, so
No, it's literally like, okay.
one of my
wait,
questions is where did Vince get a switchblade?
Where didn't he get a switchblade?
Like that seemed like he popped up with that thing pretty quickly
I know, right?
to plant it in Buddy's locker.
He just like boom.
And then what was Buddy doing at his locker when there's nothing in his locker? Like, why did he just go open it just to see if the combination worked? Like that was a really weird thing for me too, that he kind of did that.
He was planning on putting another switchblade.
I thought it was pretty cool that the film guys tricked him by wearing Buddy's boots. So once again, like, where did they get those? Like, did they run out before lunch and buy a pair of worn boots at a thrift shop? I guess that looked like Buddy Revel's boots, so they could.
He thought it was funny, and they gave him his boots.
Yeah. All right, and then I've got a couple of things about the Dean of Discipline that I really love.
Oh, are
Wojtek.
those, like,
So here's more
things?
sound effects. So when he goes into Wojtek Dolinsky's office,
Oh my god, I remember that.
he like
scene.
looks around the room and sees the different things hanging on the
Yeah.
wall, and you hear that. And then this is Wojtek. This is a great line from Wojtek.
That is absolutely the most ridiculous excuse I have ever heard in my entire career as a disciplinarian, Jerry.
My entire career as a disciplinarian.
Jerry.
The Dean of Discipline. Like, that would be, we never had a Dean of Discipline. We
That's
had
a
a
cool
principal.
title.
Yeah, but the Dean of Discipline is actually a really cool title. I would go for that. I've got one called Growth. Do you know what that might mean? Do you have any idea what clip is going to happen when I press that button? Because I don't.
Let's go.
Whoever did this should be plucked out of our school like a burgeoning cancerous growth deep inside the colon.
It's even better than I was expecting it to be.
It's like-
That's a really
It
good
didn't
quote.
help. Okay.
That's a really, really solid
I
quote.
was expecting our anxiety about that clip to be relieved when it was played.
Oh, hey, I've got the bad acting line too. Do you want to hear that?
Oh, boy.
I've got they brought Charlie back, but he hasn't said anything
anything
since he came back.
They brought Charlie back.
Or,
He hasn't-
all right, here we go. This is when he says school. It's just the last line of this one that's awesome.
Buddy, this shouldn't be too difficult for you. It's a review of the last 2 chapters. See where you left off in your old school.
I almost forgot. As a high school math teacher, I almost forgot the word for the place where we all go to do our learning.
Prison.
Your old school. Yeah.
Also his laugh.
And it's almost like the guy, right? Like, hey, can you put a pause somewhere in there? Like, okay, well, no, not there. But maybe that's the best he could do, right?
Look who's here. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Rags.
Rag-
Rags. I think his name's actually Rags.
Rags.
I think it is actually
My
Rags.
favorite lost character.
Here's a good buddy one.
Sorry, Mr. O'Rourke, I just can't do that.
It's a pretty good line.
Just can't do that.
Buddy, I need you to go back and wait for me in my office.
Sorry, Mr. O'Rourke, I just can't do that.
And then you get the Duker coming back.
Move.
So you got this high school student just knocking out teachers and security guards left and right, and nobody seems to do anything about it.
Everyone's just like, oh, here's my question.
All right.
Did people fight at school?
Oh, please. Yes.
That's the thing?
Yes.
People fight at your school?
Oh, my God. There were so many fights at
Did
school.
you go to one?
Oh, yeah. So I participated in more than one.
Things that happen
No, so listen to this. This is me going to a fight and almost getting in a fight. I don't remember what but and word spread. Like, it was totally like 3 o'clock high. Like, everybody went to the fights after school, right? And so these guys were going to fight like behind Burger King, I think it was, off campus after school. And
Fight me behind a Denny's at 3 a.m.
This may have been like my senior year. Like, I'm pretty sure I was well into high school at this point. And so we went, and everybody was like, "Oh, hey, we're going to go watch these 2 guys fight." And they were both football players, so you thought, man, this might be a good fight. They're a couple of big guys, right? And so they're like a big crowd of people, not as many people as 3 o'clock high, right? But enough people to make a circle around them. So you have a full circle of people around them. That's like 3 or 4 people deep. And the 2 guys are in the middle, and there's a ritual. And so they're kind of like trash talking, like they're kind of walking around each other, and they're like taking jackets off and putting their backpacks down, like whatever. And they're smack talking. And and they're both seniors. These are both like big senior guys. And so one of them says to the other one, "You don't sound so tough now. Why don't you say again to me what you said today in pre-algebra?" And I went, "Did he just say pre-algebra?" And so everybody like turns and looks at me, because we're seniors in high school. Like, you should not be in pre-algebra your senior year of high school. And so I started laughing. I'm like, "Oh my God, did he just say pre-algebra?" And so I get the tickles, and I start laughing. And now both of these guys are really mad at me because I'm making fun of their intellect. And so I had to duck out real quick before, I don't know how that fight ended, because I had to leave. Because I just remember me going, and it just like, it was just spontaneous. Like, I shouldn't have said it out loud. But I was just like, "Oh my God, did he just say pre-algebra?" And
everyone like,
yeah, everybody like turns on. I'm like, "Oh my God, sorry," but it would have been like a push in camera shot in 3 o'clock high, and I had to run away. That was my favorite. Yeah, that was my favorite.
I'm just imagining that as a movie. That would be cool.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Oh my God. Okay,
so it was a good moment.
You told this. Yes, you did tell this story on the vlog. Blog? I'm missing my own thing.
Yep.
Okay, like that's one of my pet peeves.
Your autocorrect doesn't know what vlog is either, because no autocorrect anywhere knows what vlog is.
Yeah, it's one of my biggest pet peeves when people are like, "Yeah, I heard you have a blog." And I'm like, "No."
Right.
But no.
What did I talk about? What story were we talking about?
You were saying like you lived in a high school movie.
Oh yeah.
Your high school was a high school movie.
Forrest, who was here last week, would verify that I lived in a high school movie. Like, there's no doubt my life was a high school film.
Right. That would be a shot in that movie.
Yeah, that would totally have been a shot in that movie. I could definitely write a high school comedy based on what I experienced.
No, you should do that. That would be awesome. Okay.
Okay, cool. Let's see.
Whatever.
Hold on. Let me see what else I got.
Oh, that's so wild. I didn't think that was a thing. I thought that was a thing that only happened in movies. Also, school papers, they're things.
Ooh, Hector and Achilles.
Achilles.
Well, there was a whole story of Achilles. Like, this is another thing that, like, in the same way they were doing the cricket and the crab scorpion.
Oh, yes.
The history teacher was talking about Achilles. And it was a very bloody, like, lashed him to his chariot and drug him through the streets.
Bit wrong.
So, but that doesn't matter.
It wasn't correct.
Yeah, so this is what I wrote here. Because when he went and talked to Craig Maddie, who was the football player that he was going to get to beat up Buddy Revell, right? And again, like, that guy's like 30. And so he tells Vince, "Go find out where he is." And when Vince finds him, he was in ceramics. And so I wrote ceramics, like pre-algebra.
Like pre-algebra?
So that was my note.
Is ceramics like a real class?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Totally is.
Hold on, I totally can't remember someone's name and I need to look it up. But whatever. So is the school paper a thing that you have?
Yeah.
Okay, we had a school paper, but it was for like 2 weeks.
No. Again, like, it's student published and it comes out every once a week or every 2 weeks or something like that.
And one of my friends was doing the school paper, but then he totally just stopped doing it one day. He actually threatened to write an article about me in the school paper once. Right. That was a good. Nice. That was a good time.
I don't think I put this in there, but there's this great, when he's doing his book report, he's got this great line. I was thinking about the syntax and how it affected the overall mood, particularly during more expository passages of the 5th chapter.
Yeah, that's like such a nerdy thing to say.
No, it's a really good line.
He's trying
and
to
he does it. Here's the little detail of that you only see when you watch this movie 100 times. When he lights the cigarette when he's giving his book report, like, the cigarette's kind of dangling out of his mouth. Yeah. And he lights the match, and he brings the match up to the cigarette, and then he raises the cigarette, and the match kind of has to chase it up to light.
Amazing.
It's kind of a funny little thing watching the cigarette kind of come up as he's trying to light it. I don't know. But I don't know if that was because he didn't know what he was doing. Like, he's not supposed to smoke or anything, but yeah, that's a weird little visual thing that we always latched onto.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, what I was going to say, I needed to look up someone's name, is that what made me mad about this is first they were talking about Achilles and him dragging Hector
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
which
Lashing him to his chariot.
right, which sort of happened, but it didn't happen that way.
Yeah,
So,
none of this actually happened.
None of this actually happened. Yeah, it didn't happen.
It didn't sort of happen. It didn't happen at all.
Okay, well,
in fact.
In canon,
Right.
it didn't happen that way.
In game, that wasn't a thing.
In game, that was not. I mean, that was a thing, but it didn't happen that way. And also, just the fact that they had the gall to mention Achilles and not mention Patroclus made me very mad. You have to mention Patroclus if you're talking about Achilles. Like, if you're making a parallel to Achilles, you have to.
But it was more about the two guys fighting because it's a movie about two guys fighting.
Right,
so
but
you
should've put a
focus on the
parallel.
two guys fighting.
You could have put a parallel to Patroclus and then made that parallel to one of the love interests in the movie.
Yeah, but that wasn't kind of the way the movie worked.
I know
that
that's not how
wasn't-
the movie worked
There
at
wasn't a good
all.
analogy there.
That
That would
definitely-
not have been an apt analogy.
I know that would have been really bad, but whatever. I'm mad about it.
It would have
Anyways.
been inapt.
Inept. Inept.
Right. All right. So the other thing that I really loved was when when Jerry clocks Buddy
Yes.
with the brass knuckles. Like that confused look that comes across Buddy's face is brilliant. Like it's good.
That's
Again,
really
it's
good.
good acting. Like it's really good acting.
That
I
was
thought
good.
that was extremely
Everyone's like,
well done. And then he gets his little smile at the end. And then we get this great like the last like dialogue line of the movie, like before the like, closing scene. But you get this, which is really good bookends.
Or not.
Oh no.
Looks like it's gonna be one of those days.
Oh, hey, we came full circle. The next day is going to be one of those days too, but a different one of those days.
Different one of those days. I thought that was
Because he's
cool.
making out with a teacher in high school.
Is that a thing
in
you all
front of
wanted
everybody.
to do?
Yeah, no. You
Is
know. It's not.
I'm like-
It's not.
Also, I figured out.
Mrs. Farmer wasn't one of my teachers.
Because I was saying Mrs. Farmer looked like someone.
Mm-hmm.
I figured out she looks like Heather Chandler.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, she's got a little Susan Sarandon thing going.
Not sure who that is.
Yeah, she does. And then they also, so they repeated, not only did they repeat that, but they repeated the chain of people gossiping, but this time it's about Jerry Mitchell.
Yeah.
Right? So the same thing. They move through even the same group of people, and it's people talking about how awesome Jerry Mitchell is and how no one's heard of him and knows
cool.
anything about him. Right?
I wonder how long he can keep that reputation up as a cool kid.
Yeah, like a day or two.
Right?
I would imagine.
Yeah. Okay. But, okay. So, I guess that's everything that...
Ooh.
Oh, no, you have to think. Keep
Yeah,
going.
no. So this is actually the line that the Duker said to me when I met him. I didn't realize I actually grabbed this clip, but this is actually what he said.
You tell all your little friends there's no escape from the Duker.
So that I said, "Oh my God, you're the Duker," and he just looked at me and he said, "You tell all your little friends there's no escaping the Duker." I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just said a line for the movie."
That's awesome.
It was
How can you
awesome.
still remember that? I don't remember lines I said, like, yesterday. How can you remember that?
Yeah, well, yeah. Who knows? Because he's remarkable. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your
Okay, so
moving towards wrap up?
My wrap-up is Presley's Gay Corner, which is just sort of my
Yeah.
analogy.
Oh, I totally forgot. Totally
you
forgot
wanted
that
to
I was
tell
going to ask you this. Would you like ship Buddy and Jerry?
Would I?
Yeah.
That's the question. I didn't even think about that. That's a good realization. Let's see. So I have become so unbelievably desperate where the point is, like, if I ship something is how many fics I can find on AO3 for it. Because if there's, like, none, then
I wonder if there's a Buddy Jerry fic on AO3.
There better
Oh,
be.
my goodness.
That would be. I'm going
All
to make
right.
you read that. Okay.
No, I definitely do not want to read that.
I want to see your reaction. Maybe
Talking
that should
about
be my
ruining your
assignment.
childhood. I need to not go there.
Go to AO3?
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my
no,
God,
not for 3 o'clock high fanfic.
Listen, let me tell you
I can't
this
stand
thing that happened to me
All right.
the other day. As my chiropractor asked me which site to publish fan fiction on.
Oh, really?
Like, straight up. So I
Like
mentioned...
chiropractic fanfic?
God, please don't. Please do not.
I was
Okay.
giving Brad Pitt an adjustment.
Brad Pitt? Are you okay? Okay, no. So she...
I assumed it was a female that was doing the thing, so I was doing a
Brad
cis,
Pitt.
hetero.
A cis. The cis. That is a very
Fanfic.
cis thing to say. People don't write fanfiction about themselves that often, unless you're on Wattpad.
right,
Anyways,
whatever.
She's like, what site? If we were talking about fanfiction, it was so weird and wild.
That's fun.
Okay, so, anyways, my thoughts, my gay corner about this movie is, how old is this movie?
86, I think.
Yeah, 86. And they very openly use in this movie the F slur.
They do. Yeah,
And it's
twice.
Twice.
Twice in kind of a real sort of jarring way. Yeah.
Yes, and it's so jarring now because it's unthinkable to say that now.
Right.
It's-
I don't know. In public school, like I would not be surprised that that's still thrown around in much the same way. No.
Not in a movie.
Yeah, no. Clearly,
Not
they
a
wouldn't have
movie.
they wouldn't have done it in the movie the same way. But I bet at school, if you go to the high school down the street, and I bet that is still. Yeah, I would not be surprised that that's not still a thing.
Catch my 12-year-old 4'10" hands.
I know. I'm just telling you.
But so like, am I 12? Yes. I'm 12.
you
I had to think.
Yeah.
I
What's the 410 thing? You can tell me later. I don't know.
What? I said, oh yes, I am 4'10".
Oh, 4'10".
Yes.
Okay, I thought there was something going on that I don't know anything about. I was going to have to
4'10".
look up.
No, it's okay.
Get an Urban Dictionary.
God, don't go on Urban Dictionary ever, please. You are my father, and that makes me so uncomfortable. But yeah, I had to check. The other day, I was talking to my friends, and they're like, we were talking about, like, all the time we'll do something, we'll be like, oh my God, you guys are just like 12. Why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not even 12, I'm 10. And I was like, wait, actually, that's not true at all. It was weird. Okay, so yeah, my thoughts is just like they use the F slur so openly in this movie.
Yeah.
Just like as a thing that people say.
But I mean, it was Buddy and Craig Matty they're the two guys that used it, right? And they're
Yeah.
not like great role models
Of course.
like who
Which
you should be.
language
So
to
at least
use.
it was kind of the bad guys using it, right?
But it wasn't like specifically people were like, oh my God, he said the F word. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely didn't.
He just
like,
on
cringe.
us.
Yeah.
Kind of
Oh, me? No way, man.
Yeah, oh my God. Okay.
And then Buddy does a great face because that's them at the urinal, right?
Yeah.
Which for some reason is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And so he says that, and then Jerry goes, oh, "Me? No way!" And it took him a second to kind of he was taken aback by that and was like, "Oh wait, who? Me? No way, man!"
Yeah.
And then Buddy does this great like heavy breath, like close his eyes. Another great like subtle Buddy Revell acting thing from Richard Tyson that I loved.
That's good.
Yeah,
But
Richard Tyson's School of Acting.
Also, I'd like to point out that, like, not in the context of this movie, but if at any time, if you ask, if you're like, hey, is this person gay? And they go, huh? Me? A gay?
No way,
way,
what,
man.
me? No way, man.
That's not a good indicator that they're telling the truth.
He did not want a bond.
I know he did not want a bond.
With Franny, at
reading.
least. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, whatever. So, yeah, like, that was my thing of this movie.
Okay.
Is that, like, just, they used it so openly. And this is the thing in most 80s movies, but
Right.
it was, like, wild to me. Because it's unthinkable for me or anyone near me to say.
Yeah,
Ever.
so I love this movie. Like,
It's a
go
good
go if you haven't seen the movie, watch the movie. I read some reviews on it when I was getting ready for this, and it really gets pretty ripped apart in a lot of the reviews. I read Mr. Ebert's review
I don't know who that is.
of 3 O'Clock High, and he was not a fan. I'm pretty sure I got 1 star.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 1-star review from Mr. Ebert.
Why?
And he actually made an interesting point where, well, some of it was kind of dumb that I don't agree with. I didn't always agree with Mr. Ebert, right? But he was he was kind of saying that he was lamenting that we didn't know anything more about Buddy and like what made Buddy, right?
Like a sequel.
Like you don't really need to. So he said,
Yeah,
if you want this kind of a movie, you should watch My Bodyguard, which I hadn't thought of in a really long time, but is also a really good movie about like a teen fight, right?
About a teen fight.
You get kind of the same thing where like this would be the My Bodyguard. Like if you applied that plot here, it would be the same kind of stuff happens. Jerry Mitchell goes to hire Craig Matty, and Craig Matty instead says, "I won't fight him for you, but I'll teach you how to fight."
Oh.
Yeah,
That
and
would
then
be
they
cool.
kind of become friends through that process, right?
No dynamics. Jock nerd dynamics.
It's actually really good. It's definitely Jock Nerd Dynamics. There's
I
no
love
doubt
those
about that,
dynamics.
right? So we may watch My Bodyguard. So there's there's a bonus recommendation for you. Check out My Bodyguard. It's a really, really, really good movie. I think there's a Dylan in it. I get them all confused, but I think that there's somebody with a last name of Dylan is one of the characters in that movie. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's start talking about next podcast.
Okay, one question. Who is Ricky Dillon? Because that name is in my head.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. We'll look it up after.
Oh, man.
He's not one of the people I'm thinking of.
The answer is that if I type in 3 o'clock high on AO3, there are no results. So
Oh, okay.
that's what I was on my phone for.
You can write the first.
I will
3
not
o'clock high fanfic.
actually do that because I can't write fic.
All right, so let's talk about. So go see the movie. I loved it. Did you love it? You loved it,
I
right?
like this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I I was supposed to be thinking about the whole podcast, which one I wanted to do.
Yeah, what's my assignment?
So your assignment
2 weeks from now
are to listen to the My Brother and Me episodes.
Or MBMBaM?
Yes, MBMBaM. But I wanted to say it full on the podcast because I'm fancy and official.
And who does the My Brother and Me podcast?
Justin, Travis, and Griffin McElroy.
The McElroys.
Minus Clint. Clint's not there.
Yeah. Still
the McElroy brothers.
The McElroy brothers. How about that?
The McElroy brothers are all there.
Yeah.
And it's a very good podcast.
And you have episodes that I'm supposed to listen to.
Yes. And as described, I'll tell you them in a second. As described so eloquently by my friend that, also I think she watches this podcast, so hello. But it's such a good podcast to listen to when you're feeling down. Okay. Because you can direct all your anger at these boys for being so unbelievably bad and gross. Like not in,
wow, interesting.
Not in oh my god, I hate you. Just
right.
But just when someone says an awful joke and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to rip you apart.
Okay.
That feeling is induced by the show very, very often.
All right.
So the episodes that I would like you to listen to, and these are 2 episodes, or maybe 3. Okay, I'm doing 3. So
2 episodes for the YouTube
I've
community.
I've seen the movie 2 times. The film 2 times now. Anyways, so I was thinking if I want to do 2 or 3. We're doing 3. So the episode's Horsepanologist.
Horsepanologist.
Okay. I'm quizzing you on this now. Shrimp Heaven Now.
Okay. Is it anything like spicy shrimp?
It's sweet shrimp.
Oh, sweet shrimp. Oh my goodness. I screwed it up. There is actually spicy shrimp. Sweet shrimp. Sweet shrimp.
Sweet shrimp.
Sweet shrimp.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. And The Mice King. And The Mice King is the episode where Amelie is.
Ooh, okay.
So
yeah. So we're this is a secret, so don't tell anybody. But nobody listens to this podcast, so it's a pretty safe thing to say. We're building Presley and Amelie goof cosplay.
With a giant spoon. I cook an egg
and I think you probably have to watch Amelie before you can wear an Amelie.
I've literally never seen Amelie. So I saw something the other day. Or no, I was listening to so this is just a totally weird thing. I went down on this total rabbit hole of listening to dramatic French music for some reason. Okay. And one of the songs recommended to me was from the Amelie soundtrack. And I could not stop thinking about my brother and me.
So Presley has told me about when the McElroys make a joke, it's called a goof.
Yes.
I don't know why,
goof
but it is.
Only.
And so if Presley is talking about a goof that she likes, I know it's coming from the McElroys. Yes. And one of their goofs is about Amelie, and so we're going to make her a cosplay with a giant spoon.
Goof.
Yes. And so we'll talk about that next time when we do the podcast because we're doing a podcast of that.
Oh, yes, we are.
Save it for the McElroys podcast.
Save it for your MBMBaM.
All right, housekeeping one more time.
This is my MBMBaM after show called Talking Brothers.
If somebody wanted to get in touch with us, and get a lovely shout out on the next podcast.
Junior and Junior. Okay, sorry. I'm getting distracted by making Vine references. So, if you want to contact us, you can send us a tweet at ValidateMeCast on Twitter, which I don't think we have any tweets, so it'd be the first.
Maybe, yeah.
Be the first special boy to send us a tweet. And if you want to send us an email and be really cool, because I don't have a lot of emails. We only have the one from Rose. Thank you so much, Rose. And if you want to send us a cool email, then you should send us an email at validatemepodcast@gmail.com. They're different because we said so.
That's right. Or you guys can just post something down in the comments.
Which you always do.
Yeah.
So continue to do so.
Awesome.
But yes, thank you so much for listening. Super excited to get you to listen to MBMBaM.
Yep.
And I've almost I've almost gone through my entire list of things I wanted to show you, so I'm sort of panicking now.
Oh, no, there's plenty more to come. Ask your friends.
I have been. I've been
make recommendations. If you have something you think Presley should have me watch, you can recommend that.
Yes. Yep. And here's my question of the day. My question is, how do you define a webcomic? That's a sort of philosophical conversation. I don't know. It's a comic you can read online. No, not that way. In terms of how many episodes?
We say 4 hours, right? You can consume 4 hours of my time. I read as fast as you do. Okay. So you can consume 4 hours of my time.
Yes, I will. Then I will show him a really swawesome comic. All right.
Sweet.
Thank you so much for listening, not watching, maybe watching. And I will see you. We're supposed to see you next week. Chances are.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
We might. Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We might not because
and until
we're bad
then,
at doing it on time. Bear with us.